What's up, my little spirits? We are back with another video, and today we are going to finally get into my 2021 year-end Megamix rankings. Originally, this was supposed to come out sometime during the summer, and then I decided to include it with my Megamix tutorial video, which hopefully will come out either later tonight or tomorrow. It's a lot longer than I thought it was going to be originally, so we are working on shortening it. But yeah, so we're finally going to put this out now, right before year-end season, so let's get into things. Before I get into the video itself, I do want to put out a few disclaimers. First of all, none of my opinions are based on how I feel about the individual creators. Everything about my personal feelings is completely omitted, and I didn't let that influence my opinions or the rankings. This video is strictly for commentary purposes on the Megamixes themselves, and this is by no means any way of me trying to send hate to anyone. And with that being said, I'm also not going to tolerate any hate that I see in the comment section towards any of the creators mentioned. If you have any negative feelings about the creators and we're not criticizing strictly their work, keep it off of my channel. It doesn't belong here. And if you know me, you know that I am a huge proponent of constructive criticism, so if you have any questions on anything that I say, or if you need help with megamixes or mashups moving forwards, feel free to reach out to me. My social media should be linked in my About page on my channel. But I am going to ask that if you have any questions regarding any of the specific terminology I use when criticizing the mashups, try to look at my tutorial video first. I will be putting timestamps everywhere, so you'll know about where to go to look for information and when I say what and what things mean, before asking me, because I'm probably just going to direct you there in the first place. Okay, finally onto the rankings. Something to keep in mind, if I don't mention something in the criticism aspect, then it's pretty safe to assume that I didn't have a problem with it and it doesn't need to be worked on too much, if at all. Without further ado, we have almost 100 of these to get through, so here we are. 91, Alex Peachy, 2021 mashup. This honestly felt more like a parody of a mashup, and the movie and TV show aspects really broke the experience. They seem to understand that things need to be on beat, but they still failed to execute that properly. Also, pretty much everything was off-key. 90, MJL mashups, made for 2021. Their main issue was not knowing whether it would sound better to speed up or slow down the songs. That skill really takes practice to hone, and there are also issues with the flow, keys, volumes, and overall video editing. 89, KBJM mashups, 2021 year in Megamix. It was a little boring to watch without a video component. This issue was worsened with the inconsistent volumes. There were keys and beat issues throughout the entire project. The transitions were really jarring, and there wasn't really any sense of flow. 88, Mr. Whatever Music, Patience for Better Days. I think they're trying to juggle too many songs at once. It reminds me a lot of my 2013 year in Megamix. Everything sounded off, whether it was the key, the beat, or the transitions. The videos also weren't uniformly transformed, and I think they have a lot of potential but need to work their way up from smaller projects to larger ones. 87, Captain Ravenblood, good for 2021. The main issue is how the volume differences are really jarring. Mostly everything is off-key, which makes it hard to determine if things are off-beat or not. The videos aren't transformed evenly, and the lip-syncing is off. I think they show promise but need a lot of guidance. 86, Janelle Tons, Savior 2021. The keys were all over the place, and it didn't sound like anything was on key. This made it hard to tell if anything was on beat. The video editing had a lot of issues, with the lip syncing being the most notable. 85, DJ Martini, 2021 right now. Everything is off beat, the keys are all over the place, the transitions are abrupt, and the video clips aren't transformed uniformly. I did at least appreciate the unique song selection. 84, Albert Toe, 2021 year in Megamix. The main issue was with how many things were off key. This made hard to tell if things were on beat or not because it was so chaotic. The video clips also weren't made to fit the frame properly. 83, EM427, Victorious World. It was just very chaotic overall. A lot of things were off key and or off beat. The videos always weren't transformed uniformly. 82. Again, we have KBJM mashups with 2021 in 2 minutes. There were a number of key and beat issues throughout. The ending was really abrupt. For short mashups, you really want to go through the songs much quicker, and there was a good sense of tone in the beginning, which gives me a lot of promise for their future. 81. CC mashups, 2021 Megamix Growing Pains. Everything felt like it was offbeat. A lot of things were off key, and this problem was compounded because things weren't pro-pitched. The transitions also didn't flow smoothly. I commend them for their ambition and think that they should start smaller and work their way up. The video editing was really enjoyable. 80. Vibin-K Music, Hits of 2021. I think that this was one of the most creative Megamixes that I've heard. Unfortunately, the execution wasn't up to par. There were a lot of key and BPM issues. They have a promising future once they fix their technical errors. 79. Pratik FM, 2021 year-end mashup. There was a lot of abruptness with beginning, ending, and the lack of flow throughout. Lots of things were off-key and off-beat as well, but some aspects here and there were done really well. 78. Matte mashups, 2021 year-end Megamix. There were too many inconsistencies. Some things were on beat, some things were in key, some transitions worked well, etc., but others weren't. Some sections were crammed and others were empty. They just need some fine-tuning. Also, I think that the video would have worked much better if they just used still images instead of constant shifting effects. 77. DJ Star Kid mashups, Best of 2021, Call Me Whenever. It was a little boring watching without a video component, and there were a lot of key and beat issues. The biggest problem was that some of the songs were transformed too much, and it made the audio quality suffer. 76. Rysum, Happier. The main issues were with the keys. The transitions weren't that strong, but they did their job. The video editing had minimal issues. I love the instrumental selection. 75. Sweetener Butera record, Get Into 2021. Most things were on key and there didn't seem to be noticeable beat issues. The transitions were a bit rough. Also, the volumes of the acapellas were a little low. As far as the video editing goes, the lip syncing was off and the videos weren't transformed uniformly. 74. Flow mashups, year-end Megamix 2021. The main issue is that the sections felt way too long. They dragged on and overstayed their welcome. Also, there were some key issues. I thought that the transitions were decent. Side note, there were a lot of 2020 songs. Nothing wrong with that, but just make sure to emphasize the year of the Megamix. 73. Nice hyphen up, year-end mashup 2021 version. The main two issues were that I couldn't tell if it was a lyrical-based mashup or not, and that things were offbeat. When making lyrical mashups, it's even more important that things are on beat so that things flow well, which there seems to be a massive lack of here. Otherwise, things seem to be on key for the most part. Also, I saw a lot of potential with the transition from Industry Baby to what I think was Money. They definitely have a lot of potential. 72. ATM, a 2021 pop mashup. The main issues were the transitions and the abrupt ending that didn't make much sense to me. The sections were really strong, but felt like they weakened as the mashup progressed. There were minimal issues with keys, beats, and the overall flow. Plus, I think that the video editing skills were really good minus a couple of lip syncing issues. My main piece of advice would be to pro-pitch the acapellas so that they don't sound weird. 71. Andra Songs 2021 year-end mashup. Nothing really stood out as being interesting. There were transposing and video editing issues that weren't consistent. Everything was seemingly on beat at least. 70. Global Radio 88.4 FM Jakarta 2021 Rewind. There were too many distractions going on and the inconsistent video transformations were too much. There also was no sense of rhythm. It did have an interesting concept and they displayed a basic level of audio mixing comprehension. Everything was on beat and there were minimal key issues. 69. Samuel's Mashups 2021 Universe. In version 1, overall it felt very bland. The transitions were really rough and things were off key. It did have a good sense of flow though. For version 2, I was a little confused as to why there was a separate version in the first place instead of just combining them together. The transitions were even rougher and the flow was inconsistent. I think some songs were transposed too much and it took away from the audio quality. 68. Sush and Johan Music, 2021 year in Mashup. They show competence for audio mixing but still need a lot of practice. They need to work a bit at getting their flow down. There are minor key and transition issues. They clearly excel at video editing, although sometimes it could be a bit much. As a personal note, I was a little embarrassed by the fact that this was one of the most viewed year in Megamixes with how many technical issues there were. 67. DJ Soap, Best Pop Songs of 2021. This would have benefited from using more instrumentals and having more sections. It was pretty good for what it was, but it was a bit lackluster and a lot of acapellas felt too transformed because of the uniform BPM. If you're going to use a one instrumental bass structure, they work best for lyrical megamixes. 66. Gabrielle Helawa, Can We Skip to 2022? It was a little boring without a video portion. There were a lot of parts where the flow was lacking. The acapellas were too quiet to hear at times as well. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed the transitions though. The sections where the flow was strong were pretty solid, while others felt a little overcrowded. 65. Wolf Ray at 25, formerly Serious Music Mashups and Remixes, 2021 High Domineer. The overall volume of the project needs to be lowered just slightly. Also, the transitions need to be better because some parts went from 0 to 100. I did really like the individual sections, the video layout, and the song selection, especially the EDM and K-pop songs. Just make sure not to cut the acapellas off too short. And personally, I wasn't a fan of how many drops there were because it felt like they were all so short. 64. Brand Mash, Happy New Year 2022. I think there was too much happening at once. There was so much being layered at once that the individual audio tracks were stepping on each other's toes. There also seemed to be a number of key errors, but everything was on beat. I'd recommend that if this is a lyric-based megamix, include the lyrics in the video format next time so it's easier to follow along. 63. Cray Mashups, 2021 Mashup, Save Your Love. It was pretty boring throughout with a lot of key and lip sync issues, however I think the vision was there. Once those easy fixes are resolved, then they'll be all set. 62. Mashups for You, the best hits of 2021. It was somewhat inconsistent, a few key and beat issues. The videos weren't all transformed evenly. Some of the lip syncing was off. There were a lot of fast cuts in the video. The transitions were okay, but could be smoother. The alcohol-free and ping pong section and everything after that was really enjoyable to me. I think they show a lot of promise. 61. Imagination Mashups, 2021 by Imagination. The main issue was with the transitions. Fading into a black screen isn't terrible, however it's not cohesive and can be redundant. Aside from the heatwave section that was off-key, the other sections were great. I think the video editing could be stepped up a bit by mixing the videos together more. 60. Yami no Bahamat's 2021 Mashup. The transposing and video editing were a bit inconsistent. The transitions need to be polished a bit more to improve the flow. They show a lot of promise. 59. Rain Mashups, 2021 Don't Go Yet. The transitions were the biggest problem that needed a lot of work. It would be better if things were all pro-pitched. The lip syncing also needed to be double checked, but the individual sections were really well done. 58. Spin to Brian, Happier 2021. There were a lot of key issues between things being off-key or not pro-pitched. The video editing also needs work as some things weren't transformed uniformly, and or they weren't in sync with the audio. Plus, the transitions were a 50-50 hit or miss. I do think it was good that everything was on beat because their sense of flow was amazing. 57. Shuprio Music, Fave Pop 2021. They mess around too much with the measure order of the songs. Also, their flow is inconsistent. It's much stronger during the upbeat sections, and I think that they should have more upbeat songs in their future megamixes. 56. TPDF, 2021 K-pop Mega Mashup Revival. The main issue was the mashup's flow. Aside from that, there were minor issues with the Loved You section because The key is basically C.5 major, and because of this, you can't just treat it as C major. I think the video editing was done really great throughout the entire video. 57. Christian Mons, 2021 year in Mashup. It almost felt soulless in a sense. There was nothing technically wrong with it, it just felt like someone slapped some of the acapellas on the instrumental track. It does sound fine, just a little empty. I think that they have the skill down, they just need to work on making things more exciting. 54. Soniac Maniac, Ice Cold Heart. Also on the lackluster side, despite nothing technically being wrong with it. Not having a video also made it a bit boring. I still think that the mashup was good, and things just need to be taken up a notch for the next year. 53. Jozu Mashups, Levitating in 2021. The main issue here was chaos. There were a lot of times when the acapellas overlapped too much over each other, and it was hard to understand any of them. This also caused a pacing issue as it would go from one song playing for a while to a bunch of songs rapidly transitioning to each other. The transitions in general felt a little bit abrupt. However, there were some moments of genius that started around the midway point. I think that this creator has the right ideas and just needs to rein things in a bit. 52. Brand Mash Again, Year-End Mashup 2021. There were some minor key issues, mainly being with the chord progressions amongst the instrumentals. I would also suggest that they change the word voices to vocals in the layout and add an outline and or shadow effect so that the layout doesn't blend in with the background at any points. Overall, I enjoyed the Megamix and found the transitions to be really enjoyable. 51. Reiska, Best of 2021. The main issue with the Megamix is being lackluster. I think that the audio is good, but the video definitely could be turned up a notch. During this, the audio could definitely be fine-tuned. They definitely are one of the best mashup artists I've come across when it comes to understanding tone. 50. Universalistic, Beautiful 2021. Overall, it felt a little chaotic and the video needed some work. Also, the transitions were weak and didn't feel like they bridged the sections well. With that being said, the audio was still good and some sections were really innovative and engaging. 49. Inanimate Mashups, Levitating through 2021. The flow and lyricism could be stronger. Aside from the intro section being a little messy, everything else sounded great. The video editing style was really creative. Just remember to sync up the audio and the visuals better. 48. Mashed Potatoes, Next Level 2021. The main overarching issue is that all the acapellas are a little muffled. The transitions were also a bit rough. The mashup goes from being a little crowded at the beginning with not much flow to really improving as things progress. I also think that the utilization of emotional instrumentals is great, and I think that this creator will be very strong moving forward. 47. Caleb Coleman, Faves of 2021. I think that the Megamix being longer was the biggest problem here. The downtempo parts were really boring. I loved how unique the creepy section was and it didn't sound like anything I'd ever heard before. Also, the Easy On Me section was beautifully done. There were a couple of key issues with songs that didn't follow conventional chord progressions and minor video editing problems, but aside from that, this was a solid piece of work. 46. Delira Mashups, XOXO Mashups. The instrumentals go on for a bit too long and the transitions don't always do a great job of bridging them. Aside from that, they have some of the best sense of flow out of any Megamix artist I've heard. 45. DJ Sid Mashups 2021, the musical. The biggest issue for me was that nothing was pro-pitched. Also, the transitions were a little rough. I think the flow from one song to the next was amazing, and the Megamix reminded me a lot of what I love about mashup making. The Megamix kept getting better as it progressed, and I think that they have the most potential of all mashup artists I've listened to this year. 44. Solgi Mashups, K-Pop 2021 Mashup. The main issue here is with the video editing. Not all of the clips were transformed to fit the same screen size. Also, they didn't cut or edit out the parts of the original videos with watermarks or end marks. Aside from that, the song combinations were great. Sharpen up the transitions a bit and you're good to go. 43. TCF, Happier Than 2021. The low quality acapellas really detracted from what would otherwise be an amazing Megamix. I definitely recommend doctoring them up to soften the impact. The transitions could also use a little smoothing over. I thought that the emotional section in the middle was absolutely beautiful. 42. Benstown Megamix 2021. The biggest concern of mine was how abrupt the ending is. If they manage to smoothen that out and polish up the transitions, things look really promising for them in the future. There were also one or two minor key issues that weren't very noticeable. 41. Lloyd Louis Rubio, Year-End Mashup 2021. This is a common dilemma that I run into with a lot of Lloyd's year-ends. I can never tell if they're supposed to be lyrically based or not. Because of this, it's hard to gauge how I should be judging them. Regardless, I think the main issue here is the choice of BPM for the Megamix. I think too many songs are sped up or slowed down too much, and the flow suffers because of it. It's a solid Megamix though. 40. Stational Mashups, World of 2021. The only thing that I made a note of was that I didn't recognize the instrumentals, but I still think they did a great job of utilizing them. Normally I would advise to choose something more recognizable for the main song selection, but when someone demonstrates that they can thrive with songs that they're more comfortable with like this, then I'm not going to criticize it. 39. Chris, Pop All-Stars 5. There are some minor key and volume issues, otherwise this is some of the smoothest transitions I've heard during this year. I think that they really exemplify less is more. A lot of people have become hyper-focused on including every single song released within a calendar year. Chris demonstrates how stepping back and just focusing on the Megamix itself really has its benefits. I'm wicked proud of this. 38. DJ Dwibbit, Drop Culture 2021. The beginning and ending are a little abrupt. Everything else though sounds really great and I think they did a solid job. 37. DJ Flapjack, Pop Rewind 2021. Very infrequent issues with the volumes and the lip syncing, almost to the point of not even being noticeable. The biggest issue is that the kick and clap stem based transitions get a little boring, but the positive aspects of this Megamix far outweigh the negative ones. 36. Vincent Mashups, Feel Alive. The only problem that I had was that the transitions were on the blander side. This is the major drawback of the chapter-based mashup system. Since the adjacent sections tend to vary drastically from each other, it makes the transitions both more important and a little hard to pull off. 35. La 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 Girl, Hits of 2021. I normally say that less is more, and this does sound amazing, it just also sounds a little empty due to the lack of songs. I think that the minimum number of songs used in a year-end should be around 25 to 30. For reference, this Megamix only uses 20. When using that threshold that I mentioned, you're still able to incorporate a decent chunk of the biggest hits of the year, with maybe a few personal picks, and not get overwhelmed. 34. MI Mashups, We Made It. They committed one of the #1 sins of repeating a section when it comes to the video editing. Even if you're repeating the same audio for something like a lyric-based Megamix, you have to be careful not to repeat the video elements to a significant degree so that the Megamix won't become predictable. I think the use of deja vu in this way was really creative. In order to keep things the same while spicing them up, I'd recommend flipping the video clips horizontally so that they're the mirrored versions of the original. As far as the audio itself goes, the individual sections were really strong. The transitions felt slightly weaker, but not by much. 33. Joshua Mashups, When I'm With 2021. I think that this Megamix suffered from being one of the last ones that I listened to. A lot of the ideas felt like repeats from other Megamixes, which is more of a reflection on the state of music in general and not one of the mashup artists themselves. This was a big problem in the years 2015 and 2018. The biggest risk in making a longer Megamix is that things can feel lackluster if allowed to continue for too long. The Megamix does suffer from this at times, and not all the transitions were on par with the section. There were a couple of specific problems that I wanted to address. I think that the instrumentals are Without You and On the Ground. They have opposing chord progressions, one being major and one being minor. Because of this, not all the notes lay on top of each other smoothly. Also, I think that the Intense section could have been sped up as some of the acapellas felt slowed down too much. I do think that the video editing was amazing and I absolutely loved it. 32. Spiky Octo Mashup, Savior 2021. The only problem I had was with the transitions needing to be slightly polished up. Otherwise, this was wicked enjoyable to listen to. 31. DJs from Mars 2021 Pop Mashup. If I was judging this strictly on the audio, it would be placed much higher. I love how reminiscent it felt of 2013 through 2014 year Megamixes. That nostalgic feel just elevated the experience even more. So why did it not rank higher? Personally, I feel like there was too much going on with the video editing and it felt a bit disorienting. This is definitely a Megamix that I would listen to just without watching the video portion. 30. Du Bouf. Taste of 2021. This Megamix was a flip-flop for me. Some sections were incredible while others were good, but they left room for more to be desired. I think that the overlying issue is the weaker sections had a lack of flow. Once the artist learns how to properly implement that, the sky will be the limit. 29. Lego Lord Films. Pop Song Rewind 2021. I don't think that it was perfect, but it was still great. Lyrical mashups are just so much harder than regular mashups. Because of this, they take much more practice, but they really took the lyrics and ran with them. I think that it's just going to come down to honing their craft, and that takes time. 28. Well-blend mashups, The Right Vibe, Rance Rocks 2021 year-end mashup. There were some points where the songs felt like they were sped up or slowed down too much. What's frustrating is that you'll have one song in a section and certain parts of the song will work with such a drastic transformation while other parts won't. It's definitely another example of practice to know what parts of songs sound better when manipulated this much. It was still a great Megamix and I love the video editing. 27. T10YOB mashups as 2021 ends. All the acapellas sounded slightly muffled. This often happens if either the acapella's original quality wasn't that great or if you apply reverb, which naturally lowers the volume. This problem can sometimes be overcome with the video editing because the lip syncing can help the audience figure out what's playing. However, not having a video component means that this remedy isn't an option. However, I think that they still managed to make the sound amazing sonically. 26. Gumix Let's Get 2021. I think the main issue here is overcrowding. It sounds like some of the instrumental combination choices either had too many stems or the chord progressions didn't overlap properly. And then the transitions just need a little sharpening. Otherwise, they demonstrated a true mastery over the K-pop genre, and I think that they're the person to look out for in 2022. 25. Jeremy Video 52. Save 2021. Overall, it was great and the video editing was amazing. The only thing I would note is that it gets a little chaotic at times. Maybe try scaling back the amount of songs used in some sections. But otherwise, I'm looking forward to their 2022 year-end. 24. Bubbles Mashups, Paint the 2021. I think the biggest problem with this Megamix is inconsistency. Not all the audio files sounded high quality, not all the transitions felt like they were as sharp as they could be, and the volumes didn't always sound uniform. Aside from that, I think they benefit a lot from changing up the tone throughout the Megamix. Most of it sounded very intense and it was trap or rock based. Some parts were genius while others felt like they didn't bring out the best of every song. By adding other sections, be it happy, emotional, etc., it would give those songs a chance to shine. 23. Tipper Edits, 2021 Megamix, a year-end mashup of 100 songs. Very minimal and infrequent issues with the keys and transitions. Overall, an amazing job with little improvement needed. Plus, I thought the video editing was incredible. 22. Voices Avenue, 2021 Good Days. There were minimal key issues, also the ending felt a little chaotic at times and it may have been due to the instrumentals conflicting with each other. Otherwise, the flow was amazing. The transitions were solid, the video editing was great, and it was really engaging. Great job. 21. Paul G Mashups, Pop Play 2020 through 2021. The beginning and ending sections were amazing. Somewhere around the middle it felt a little underwhelming, but they truly understand how to form a connection with the audience. Plus, their understanding of how to use the visual component to enhance the overall experience was perfect. 20. Dylan GLC, Nothing Left to Lose. Dylan is a true testament to just how difficult lyrical-based megamixes are. I think that he's one, if not the best lyric-based mashup artist of all time. The problem is that the lyric-based megamixes can easily become hit or miss. His sense of lyricism and flow are top tier, but sometimes it does get lost on me. Regardless, he never fails to deliver. 19. Jungle Sue, Begging You to Stay in 2021. Aside from the transitions needing some minor fine-tuning, and I mean minor, this is one of the best megamixes that I've heard this year and the video editing was top tier. 18. Mashup Germany, Top of the Pops 2021. This is definitely a megamix in which my own subjective opinions ranked it lower than it would probably deserve to be otherwise. They put a multi-million corporation to shame by always releasing a better version of YouTube Rewind every year. Seriously, YouTube Rewind peaked in 2014 when they had DJ Earworm compose the music. But back to Mashup Germany. I think this mashup is amazing. I just personally am not a huge fan of all the various media types being included. I just find it to be a bit distracting. This doesn't mean that they're unworthy of praise, since everything about the mashup is amazing. 17. Blanterco We Are 2021. It becomes a little lackluster at times, and there are minimal key errors. Otherwise, they have a great sense of flow, the transitions work really well, and the video editing skills are amazing. They're truly the best example of a mashup artist who understands the use of tone. And I think that this has the most uniform utilization of songs amongst all the other year ends. KOS mashups. Hope You're Okay in 2021. The individual sections are amazing. The transitions are a bit weak, but not bad, just weak. Overall, I absolutely love this mashup and the video editing. 15. KJ Mix's Plan 2021. This megamix is definitely the most impacted by my own subjective taste. If it weren't for that, it would have ranked higher. Regardless, this has absolutely earned its place in the top tier amongst the other Titans. 14. DJ Kepler, By 2021 mashup. The only problem that this megamix ran into was that the instrumentals sometimes were slightly too loud and overpowered the acapellas, but aside from that, they blew it out of the park. 13. DJ Earworm, United States of Pop 2021. This is definitely their best work since 2015, in my opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, lyrical-based megamixes can be so easily hit or miss, but this really raised the standard and flowed so seamlessly. 12. DJ Kim, Pop Mash 2021. Speaking of lyrical-based megamixes, this is one of the best that I've ever heard. The way that the instrumental kept changing both kept the mashup interesting and supported the flow. Plus, the lyricism was great. This was mashup perfection. 11. Andy Wu Musicland Power of You. If there is one thing that Andy has been consistent with since 2014, is his level of creativity and video editing skills. He always uses unique song combinations and themes, which he further elevates with his top-notch video editing skills. The only person who comes close to him in terms of video editing would probably be Panos T. So why isn't he ranked higher? I'm not personally a huge fan of the chapter-based structure for megamixes. Andy did invent them and does them better than anyone else. The issue I find is that the transitions aren't always as smooth as they could be, and that disconnects the watcher from the megamix. But placing that aside, the audio is still wicked pleasing, and I always look forward to what he puts out. No matter what I think, he'll always be leagues ahead of the rest of the community when it comes to sheer talent, and I still consider his 2015 year Megamix to be the greatest of all time. 10. Robin Scooterus, Pop Love 9. I have one major criticism and one minor criticism. The major one is that I'm not a huge fan of how lengthy the Megamix is. Personally, I really think that year-end shouldn't exceed 15 minutes. If you're going to put in more time, I'd recommend using more songs in order to fill things up. Otherwise, going over 15 minutes should be reserved for decade ends and evolution megamixes. The minor criticism is that I didn't understand the song selection. For 2020 through 2021 year end, it really skewed more toward the 2021 songs. And on top of that, it felt like a lot of the songs used weren't necessarily the most popular for the year. So with me complaining about pretty much the entire Megamix, I'm sure you can assume just how good the Megamix itself is to still rank in the top 10 despite me not praising it. As expected, Robin just knocks it out of the park. 9. Crispy Mashup's Cry for 2021. Just like Blanterco, this is another mashup artist who truly grasps how to incorporate tone into their megamixes. And what's even more amazing than that is how they manage to keep things interesting despite the tone not changing much. Most megamixes run the risk of becoming boring when doing this, but Crispy really showed off their mastery in avoiding this. Plus, the video editing was really good and brought everything up to the next level. Absolutely their best work yet. 8. DXY Mashup V-Pop 2021. The video editing was really unique. I hope that if they continue using this format, they'll make it similar but not exactly the same. This way, things will still look fresh every year. The only criticism I have is that once in a while the songs will sound like they're stepping on each other's toes. Otherwise, the flow was great and I think they did an amazing job overall. 7. Mark013. Top Pop Songs of 2021 Mashup. I haven't felt this way about a lyrically based year-end Megamix since DJ Earworm's 2009 year-end, which I think is the standard for lyrical mashups. This was so amazing, I don't think that anything else needs to be said. 6. Adam Music, good for 2021. Despite still sounding great, Adam's year-end Megamixes were starting to become predictable between 2016 through 2020. There were some surprises like Lucid 2018 and his 2018 year-end, but most of the time I felt like I could expect what's to come. This year is when he finally broke free from that pattern and evolved. There was a significant shift in his style, and I think that opened up a world of possibilities for him moving forward. I'm so proud of him and wicked excited to see what he has up his sleeves. 5. Idol Loves Mashups 2021 Gen Loco. This is a perfect example of when a project's strength far outweighs its weaknesses. I did personally find a few criticisms. I thought that some of the transitions could be a bit smoother, the flow could have been tightened up, and a few songs were off key. And the video editing wasn't that exciting throughout, but overall, these issues are minimal and barely detract from how amazing the Megamix is as a whole. 4. Justify Mashups, formerly Bigatel's Mashups. Welcome to 2021. Honestly, if I was looking at every Megamix from a purely objective basis, this would have been in the number 1 position. The overarching issue is that this artist needs to learn how to use the visual aspect to better convey the overall emotions of the Megamix. Once they do that, they'll be unstoppable. This is the biggest issue when making a Megamix in the same vein as Swiller did in his pop anthems. It's so hard to really utilize the music videos because you're moving through the song so quickly. Regardless, this is amazing and they should be so proud of themselves. 3. Joseph James, Happier 2021. Quick disclaimer, I did help Joseph with making this, so I'm probably a little biased. Joseph is someone who keeps improving every year, and in this year's Megamix, his improvement was mainly in his utilization of tone. He finally left his comfort zone and dabbled with intense instrumentals. On top of that, he also learned how to create an ambiance with the music videos. The more that he hones his skills, the sooner it's going to be to where he is the best mashup artist in the community. 2. Rolly G Productions, 2021 What You Need. If you told me around this time last year that I would think that the second best Megamix of the year was lyrically based, I would have been stunned. Because of their double-edged sword nature, I'm not always the biggest fan of this structure, but the mashup artists who used this during 2021 really came through, and Rolly G really epitomized it by bringing it to the top of the list. I can't express how happy I was to see so many amazing Megamixes using lyrics with this one coming out on top. Great job. Finally, on top of our ranking list is number 1 with Multi-Stand Pleasure 2021 Dead and Gone. The K-pop mashup artists this year really didn't hold anything back. I can't wait to see what they do with 2022's music, but let me explain why this one takes the number 1 spot on my list. It wasn't perfect. There was a very minor issue with the keys when it came to the Mafia in the Morning section. When songs don't follow the generic chord progressions, they can be a bit difficult to work with. Aside from this accomplished what I believe are some of the biggest goals for a Megamix artist. First of all, I wasn't a huge fan of some K-pop songs in 2021, but they took those songs and incorporated them in ways that made them stand out and make me enjoy them. The flow was great, the tone was great, the video editing was great. There's just so much I could rave about when it comes to this Megamix, so congratulations, Multi-Stand Pleasure. You've earned this, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for 2022. Okay, and with that, those are all of the rankings for 2021 year Megamixes. It was so much fun being able to listen to everything that everyone put out. I am just wicked proud of all the things that I experienced. Again, I do have a tutorial video which should be coming out either today or tomorrow. It's taking a little longer than I thought. For anyone wondering, what do I mean by either like flow or tone or editing things uniformly? So that should hopefully have all of the answers to your questions, if there are any. But aside from that, let me know which were your favorite Megamixes of 2021. What are you hoping for 2022? Do you want me to make another ranking list like this? Because I am definitely more than happy to do so. And again, remember, even to those who I was a little more critical towards, this isn't a hate video. I am not meaning to do this to trash on anyone. It's strictly talking about what I experienced in listening to and watching the Megamix themselves. So with that, I hope that everyone stays happy, healthy, and hydrated. Until next time, peace out.